speaking to Edem Foli, Program Manager at uYilo e-Mobility Program. Edem currently serves as a Program Manager for the National uYilo Electric Mobility Program, a multi-stakeholder collaborative program initiated by the Technology Innovation Agency, focused on enabling, facilitating, and mobilizing electric mobility in South Africa. Welcome, so great to have you.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here and excited to engage in this discussion.
Great. So I'm going to kick off with our first question. What do you believe is your role as a woman leading in transport?
I think for myself personally, it's about leading by example and encouraging women, particularly young women, to pursue a career in transport or a career related to transport, whether it's in the automotive sector, the manufacturing sector related to automotives, the new energy vehicle sector like electric mobility, logistics, public transport, e-hailing. And the more women there are in the transport sector, the more our needs as women will be recognized. What's very interesting to me is that according to the World Economic Forum, about 66% of women take public transport. And at the moment, their needs are not catered to. A lot of women, when they're traveling, they travel with their children or they travel with the elderly because they're caregivers. So they need more space in terms of what they're carrying. They have more luggage, they have more groceries, they have more things that they need for their children, for example. Some even have carriers and cots that they need to carry. So we need, if more women are in the sector, we'll be able to cater for their needs, like looking at safety, looking at ways to make transport more affordable, looking at how we can make transport more seamless, because a lot of women do trip chaining, which is which is mostly related to multiple stops. So we need to try and make that interaction or experience more seamless, more accommodating, and more friendly for women, because they have to drop off their children at school, for example. In the afternoon, they would need to take their elderly parents to the clinic. So we really need to find ways to make that experience more seamless for them, and also safer, which is a critical factor at the moment, especially in our country. And another thing that we really need to focus as women, and I think which would get more attention if more women were in the transport sector, particularly in leadership positions, is the issue of burnout. I recently looked at a study where 40% of the women in the world are experiencing burnout. And this is because we as women have multiple roles. We are mothers, we are caregivers. When we go into the workplace, we need to be managers. We need to be leaders. So we go to work in the mornings, we have an 8 to 9 hour workday, and we still need to come home, help kids with homework, and cook. And another factor, especially in the Southern African region, is that a lot of households are single-headed households and single female headed households. In South Africa, depending on what province you're in, about up to 50% of households are single-headed households, mainly by women. So they don't have the support of the father to divide the chores, the responsibilities, and the obligations. So a lot of us as women are experiencing burnout at the moment, and because the industry is dominated by men, sometimes it's very difficult for women to express that they are suffering from burnout. And little things in the workplace can help women and alleviate their burnout, particularly, like, for example, if you're working in a big organization, how about having a daycare center on site, especially if you're working within a factory space, for example, or a laboratory space where you do shift work, working in the night, for example, or working in the early hours of the morning. I think it would give women a peace of mind, especially for their younger children, like who are toddlers, for example, if they had a facility on site where their children could be taken care of when they're working. And also looking at, I believe that if more female leaders were in the workplace and in this industry, they would initiate things like flexible time, for example, because sometimes, our children get sick, or our elderly parents who we are, who we have to take responsibility for, sometimes have emergencies, or we have to take them to the clinic, and clinics are only open during the day. So, we need to allow that flexi time for women to go and take care of some of their family responsibilities and obligations during the day, instead of being so rigid of the 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 or 8:30 to 5:30 working time. So I really believe that having more leaders, women leaders within the workplace, would help accommodate women and their needs more.
Absolutely. Thank you. I mean, just so many good points there. And let's hope that the 2+ years we experienced COVID will allow workplaces to continue the flexibility that we had during
Yes,
that period.
yes, absolutely.
So this leads me into our next question. And as you mentioned, as women, we tend to wear many hats, as we know. How do you manage to balance your work and personal life?
That is really a very, very good question. I mean, at the moment, as women, especially when we are in leadership positions, we tend to work longer hours. Because we've got more things to get done and more responsibilities. But what I really try to do, and a good advice that I got from a close friend of mine who also happens to be a health professional, is that at least one day during the week you dedicate to yourself, whether it is for me, it's either a Saturday or a Sunday. I really try and dedicate to myself, dedicate to activities for myself, whether it's going to the gym and exercising, or going to the spa for 30 minutes, or taking a walk on the beach, and not thinking about work at all, or even just a day just dedicated to spending time with my family, my friends, and my loved ones. I think that rule has really made me really look at achieving that work-life balance more. And also, when we have leave days as women, also looking at spreading out those leave days during the year, and not just concentrating them towards the end of the year. I know it is difficult, because we want to spend time with our family and our children during school holidays, but those bits of leave days, even if it's just 2 days a month, or 1 day a month, or 3 days every 2 or 3 months, just try and take some time out for yourself. But I'm a strong advocate for at least one day during the week not working at all, and not thinking about work at all, really helps in terms of achieving that work-life balance.
That's such great advice. And I think I do that for myself, is definitely make sure that I take that time out. And I think, as you mentioned, exercise is so important. I think
Yeah.
it just clears your head, and it gives you some time to really focus on yourself. So my next question for you is, how did you get to where you are today?
So it's a very interesting story. I do work in the electric mobility space. I am not the typical person to be involved in that space. It's mainly engineers and scientists, but I come from a business background and social science background. Um, I matriculated at Collegiate Girls High School in Gqeberha, which is formerly known as Port Elizabeth. And straight after that, I went to UCT and studied a Bachelor of Social Science degree where I majored in political studies. And then after that, I did a postgraduate diploma in marketing, specializing in management, also from the University of Cape Town. And I got my first real job in advertising. And I worked for a great company called Ogilvy and Mather in Johannesburg, where I was very fortunate that my talents were recognized by my line managers. So they put me on a lot of leadership programs, training programs to help me develop my career. And I quickly progressed towards becoming an account manager. And then I was fortunate enough, because I really, really love reading, to get offered a job at Exclusive Books as a deputy marketing manager. And then after that, I worked for Penguin Random House as a marketing and publicity manager. It was a really good experience, like I said, because I love reading. I worked in that industry for a couple of years, and I'm sure this is something that a woman can relate to as well. As a woman, you really have to work hard to progress in an industry, and I was working really hard, a lot of overtime. It was in the retail space, so you do work on Saturdays and on Sundays, and I suffered from burnout, and I got sick, and luckily I have a very supportive family, and they told me to go back home to Gqeberha. So I went home, and while I was recovering, I got very bored because I'm not the type of person who can sit and do nothing. So I registered for an MBA degree at Nelson Mandela University's Business School, and during that time, I got very interested in the concept of entrepreneurship. And I was fortunate enough through one of my professors, Professor Margaret Cullen, who got me really interested in entrepreneurship and the empowerment of women, and using entrepreneurship to become financially independent. And I was selected to be part of a cultural exchange team with some fellow students to go to America and learn more about entrepreneurship there through St. Cloud State University. And I also became interested while I was studying my MBA in technology and how technology can help societies, specifically impoverished societies, have a positive impact on their lives and their livelihoods. And then 6 months after I graduated with my MBA degree, I applied for a job within the uYilo e-mobility program, hosted within ENSA, an internationally recognized innovation and engagement entity at Nelson Mandela University. And here I am today.
Wow, what a story. It's amazing how all the things we do lead up to a certain point, and we learn lessons along the way in previous jobs, and that lead us to
Yes.
lead you. And thank you for sharing your burnout with us. I think as women, it's so important to share struggles that we go through, because I think we can be compassionate to one another, and we can really learn and support one another. So thank you for that. Um, who or what is your inspiration?
I I'm not inspired by a particular person or people, but I'm really, as I've developed as a leader and in management positions, I'm really inspired by the concept of servant leadership and how being a leader, you are there to serve others and not serve yourself. You are there to inspire others, there to help others grow and develop themselves to be the best they can be. And I also believe in the concept of when you hire people who are better than you become better. And I think that's the whole concept of servant leadership, being humble, being willing to learn from others who are not necessarily your line manager. They might be somebody who is reporting to you, accepting advice from others, being able to accept and admit that when you make mistakes and learning from them. Also mentoring and coaching people. I get great satisfaction from that, helping them being the best that they can be, not just in their working lives, but in their personal lives as well. And I really believe that you are a true leader, or I really strive to be a true leader, and that is a leader who people want to follow and not who people are forced to follow. And I think that I would have achieved my goal as a true leader when I am a leader that people want to follow and not a leader that people are forced to follow.
Wow, that's such an amazing message. Thank you. I think totally there's nothing more satisfying, I think, than empowering people and watch them grow and become leaders themselves. So, and it sounds like you are all about that. So that's great. My next question for you is, what message would you like to share with young women who want to get involved in the transport sector?
I think for me, what's very important, and I truly believe that it's not really encouraged in the education system. I really think that more young women, need to study STEM subjects, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics subjects. When I went to school, I was fortunate enough to go to an all-girls school during high school. So I did get the attention that I needed to succeed in physical science, biology, and mathematics up to grade 12, up to matric. And I think that really lays the foundation for anything that you want to be. It helps you to solve problems in life. It helps you to be a creative, and it helps you to, address challenges. And I think as young women, I really, really, really encourage them to do physical science, to do mathematics, pure mathematics, up until grade 12. And if they can, also do an art subject as well, just to assist with your creativity. I also did art up to grade 12. So if you have that foundation, you can be anything you want to be. It doesn't mean that you have to be a medical doctor. It doesn't mean that you have to be a physicist. But when you have that background, it will open a lot of doors for you, and doors which you never imagined could be open to you. So I really encourage young women to take those subjects seriously in high school.
Sure. I think having a 16-year-old son who struggled with pure maths and physics, I also wish that the schools would relook at some of the curriculum and some of the subjects and realize that there's a lot of other avenues that kids can, I think, especially in a country where our unemployment rate is so high, is to encourage our youth to become entrepreneurial and create their own
Yes.
businesses and job creation. So I hope to see that over the years as well. So thank you for that. Um, then I want to know, what's the one thing that no one knows about you?
Oh, this is very interesting. Many, many years ago, and I don't want to give my age away, I was a finalist in the Miss South Africa pageant.
Oh,
And the
wow.
And the perception is that these type of pageants are for women without substance, but I believe that is completely flawed. The women that I was competing with were medical doctors, they were educators, they were engineers, they were business owners. So I really think pageants like that can really build a woman's confidence. It built my confidence, and also inspire women to believe that they can be anything that they want to be in life, and that's what it did for me.
Wow, that's amazing. Great. Yeah, I think you're right. There is a certain stigma attached, but I think that's changing somewhat, which is good.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, I still think there is a way to go. So I have one more question for you, and you did answer it in one of the questions before, but maybe we didn't cover everything. Is what do you do in your downtime? I know you said a bit of exercise and spa. Is there anything else you didn't mention and you like to do?
Yes, I am an avid reader. I love reading any spare time I can get. I particularly love reading nonfiction books. Sometimes when I get a break, I also like reading fiction books just to escape from everything. I think, books like take you to places, or to areas that you've never even thought about. Some of my favorite books, nonfiction books, include Becoming by Michelle Obama. That's a really inspirational story, about how, to navigate particular challenges in life, married to a president, or, starting from nothing and becoming something. Also, I like Kim Kiyosaki's books as well, which are involved with helping women become financially independent. In terms of nonfiction, I love African writer series with authors like Ama Ata Aidu. She wrote a really good book called The Girl Who Can. A Nigerian writer called Buchi Emacheta. She wrote some really good books looking at women. A book called Slave Girl, Bride Price, The Joys of Motherhood. And I'm also very religious. I do read a lot of Christian books as well, and it just helps me, remain grounded, and just navigate all the challenges that we face in life.
Great. I think you couldn't have said it better. Some escape time with a good book, especially in winter. There's nothing
Yes.
better. Some time away from our screens as well. So
Yeah.
and those are all my questions. It was so great to chat to you. I'm going to pop onto screen quickly to say goodbye. I hope to see you at Smarter Mobility Africa in October from the 5th to the 7th. Yeah, and it was great to chat to you. So many good messages, and you really are an inspiration to lots of women. I was going to say young women, but I'm not so young anymore, and you've inspired me. So thank you for your
Thank you
time and
so much.
today.
I enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Excellent. And happy Women's Month. We're going to say month.
Yes.
We're going to celebrate ourselves all month. So
Yes, and happy Women's Month to you too.
thank you so much.
Thank you
Bye.
very much. Bye.